What's going on? Okay, part two investments. So, went over the Charles Schwab account, and kind of how everything's broken out for the income side of the house. So, wanted to kind of come over here and show the projected. I mean, this is inflate. This is another thing I wanted to talk about. Like, what Snowball Analytics isn't perfect. I wish there was a way they could aggregate like the past 6 to 12 months on funds, on what their dividend or distributions were given, and then kind of do a rolling average based on trend. So what I mean by that is that if over the past 12 months, the particular income based distribution fund was gradually increasing those distributions every month, then one could assume when you average it out, there might be a 5% increase, month in and month out. And then say, okay, well, we got, let's just $100, last month for this fund, maybe it's a 5% increase historically averaged out over a year, then we can, safely assume that the next month would be $105 or vice versa. Like I got massive because we're kind of in this bull trend. So a lot of my income funds, dude, like had a 30 plus percent, some even greater in distributions. So it's kind of inflating this number. I'm probably closer to like 360, between 360 and 380 annually is probably closer to what the true projections are. But just since I had such a crazy uptick on everything, which was insane. Good thing, making more money. So can't complain about that. So, hold on, let me find one of the tabs I want to show. All right, so we're going to hop over to the analytics. You got common diversification, dividends, and growth. So let's click on the dividends portion here. And the cool thing is about Snowball, it actually shows like what the payouts were, based on the funds I'm in. And it looks like Coinbase with Roundhill. Um, it was it's been producing some crazy distributions lately. So, and that's just based on where we're currently at in the market. Next one is Robinhood. I think is definitely going to be um, definitely on the uptick. And there's this blue marker where it says yield on cost, which is good because if I have a yield on cost that has a higher, that means I paid lower amount per share and I'm getting a higher return, than average. And some of these are kind of right at par or slightly below where yield on cost is 34% versus if someone like you bought into this fund today, you would actually see a 35.6%, weekly distribution return versus what I bought in at, and it's 34, so it's less, which is pretty cool. And you can kind of change this up percent on cost or the annual payout. And as you can see, even though Coinbase was doing really good lately as far as percentage, Robinhood, I mean, I'm so happy. What happened was is I repurposed my Nvidia stocks, and sold about half of my position, and then put in some of in different income based funds. And one of the funds I picked out like a month or so ago was this income based fund, and the underlying is Hood, Robin Hood. And this thing, dude, it is up something crazy. So I did, unbeknownst to me, it's not like I did a bunch of research. What happened was during the time I repurposed, and a lot of the financial YouTuber guys I follow was talking highly of Robinhood. They personally thought it was an oversold position, but I was just like, whatever. And I still put it in. Well, during that time, Robinhood actually got inducted into the S&P 500. So as soon as Robinhood became part of the S&P 500, dude, I mean it like shot up crazy. I mean it's been going up something wicked over the past month. And as you can see, this fund, again, it's inflated because the distributions have been at an all-time high, like 30 to 40% higher than what they were like a month ago. So it's not realistic to keep up with that pace. But you click, it's pretty cool. You're like, okay, this particular fund, at its current rate and pace, would generate 90 grand uh, a year, and I invested, I guess it was about 50K in this particular fund. So that's, it's going to be insane. Then the other one is coin, which makes sense. Again, goes over my investment portion, which was about 42K, and this one was producing potentially about 66,000. Distributions, MicroStrategies, Nvidia, and put a good portion into Nvidia because I still think it's going to be bullish. Nvidia will be bullish. I put some of my profits of my stock Nvidia when I sold it into Palantir. Um, I'll probably want to get this up to about 50K ish for a single stock position, and I think Palantir is going to do very, very well over time. Obviously, Bitcoin. So, Bitcoin, I have um, invested 146K, and the annual payout for this one is roughly about 42. So, which is good. Um, and so on and so forth. So this basically will map out like your yield on cost and how fast it'll take to get back your original principal investment based on the distribution schedule. So a lot of, like, the term is called house money in this industry that I've talked, videos and stuff. So as soon as you get your principal back, then anything moving forward is 100% profit because you've actually got got a return on your initial investment, your initial principal. So that's kind of what they talk about. But let me so that's kind of cool with the chart there. It goes over diversification, metrics and stuff. um Here's the individual holdings, and what the reliable ratings are. um Average annual growth, based on uh the holdings and stock and all that fun stuff, in your portfolio, or in my portfolio. Future payments, like I said, that's going to be kind of inflated. Dividends received so far this year, is about 83K, with an all-time high in September at 28, and I'm projecting to do. I'll probably do close to 40K in October. And then the dividends received. So Bitcoin has been my highest thus far, and then everything else is kind of quickly catching up. Because I'm getting into more and more positions. So, and then this just shows the trend over the past 3 years. Month over month, year over year. Um, and like I said, about 28K last month, and I'll probably shoot up to about 30K or 40K this month. So this kind of goes over um, all of the holdings. So we'll go largest to smallest here, and this basically total profit, um, on the funds. And I'm still in Nvidia core stock. Again, I consider that more of a growth deal. Obviously, Bitcoin, and then anything that has like indexes, like Nasdaq, Russell for small cap, Russell 2000. I consider those core positions because it has multiple. It has a bunch of underlying stocks, so it's a lot more diversified than some of these single stock income based ones. But again, Nvidia kind of shot up, and total profit. This actually includes the distributions, for each of the stocks. So, which is pretty cool.